Hey guys, Dr. Brown here, and tonight it's a continuation of the ninth grade geometry. And so we're given two lines, L1, L2, and they're parallel to each other. And what we're required to do is find the angle associated with FUN. So we're going to have a unit of measure for fun. Okay, so we're given the transversal that's intersects line 1 at 30 degrees in this direction, and another that intersects line 2 at 40 degrees, positive 40. This would be a minus 30. So a 40 degrees and a 30 degrees. So I'm going to show you three ways to solve this using the rules we discussed yesterday. Okay. First, I'll do these in order of simplicity. So this would be the most simple one first. If I were to draw another parallel line, now we may have to imagine this is parallel. Hopefully I can get this okay. All right, imagine, if you will, that's a parallel line. We'll call it L3. So we're saying now L1 parallel to L2 parallel to L3. Now, if we look at the rules we had yesterday, we have now a transversal that intersects two parallel lines. So if I have two parallel lines, doesn't have to be L1, L2, just two parallel lines cut by transversal, then the alternate interior angles are congruent. The alternate interior angles are congruent. So I'm trying to find all of angle U, but I've got a piece of it here that says, well, that one's 30 degrees because it's an alternate internal. It's internal to L1 and L3, but we're not there yet. However, I have L2 and L3 that are parallel, and I have an alternate internal angle here. That's 40 degrees. So U then, in effect, is 40 degrees plus 30 degrees, so it's 70 degrees. That's the simplest way to find the angle FUN, 70 degrees. So 70 degrees is a unit of measure of fun. Okay, that's the first method. Let's think of another way to do this. Let me erase these. Get rid of that line. All right, so we're back to our original construction we had early on. The next simplest way to do this would be if I can create two angles that are complementary, then the sum of those two angles is 90 degrees. So let me draw a line perpendicular to L1 and L2. All right, I have a perpendicular line. Now what does that mean? Looking at this diagram, if I have AB perpendicular to BC, then the angle formed by those two is 90 degrees. So I just put in a perpendicular line, which means this total angle here, the total angle is 90 degrees. Now I'm going to call this alpha inside that. So what do I know? I know the measure of angle alpha plus 30 degrees equals 90 degrees because these are complementary angles. So what does that mean? If I subtract 30 from both sides, subtract 30, that 30 is gone, minus 30. So the measure of angle alpha is 60 degrees. So this angle is 60 degrees. That still doesn't give me U. So let's do the same thing down here. Now I have this is 90 degrees because this is perpendicular to L2. So 90 degrees minus 40 degrees is 50 degrees. Now, the sums of the angles inside of a triangle is 180 degrees. So 180 minus, so if I want to know this one, sum of the three is 180. So 180 minus 60 minus 50 would give me 70. So we had fun with 70 degrees earlier by a horizontal or a parallel line. We solved it 70. Now we've solved it using complementary angles and came up with 70 also. Now the third method is very similar. Clean it up here. Okay. Let's use this one. If two angles form a linear pair, then the measure of one plus the measure of the other equals 180 degrees. So I could say 180, well, let's call, what are we going to call this one? Let's call it beta. The measure of angle beta plus 30 degrees equals 180 degrees because these are supplementary angles. So if I subtract 30 from both sides, that would give me 150 degrees. So the measure of angle beta, this entire angle, is 150 degrees. Let's do the same thing down here. Okay, we'll call this one, I don't know, angle C. All right, so the measure of angle C would be something similar. It'd be 180 minus 40. So measure 180 minus 40 is 140. So it's 140 degrees. Now then, I'm going to draw a bisector or a vertical line. Again, not a bisector, but a vertical line, same as I did earlier, that intersects, is perpendicular to those two lines. Now, what would this angle right here be? It's 90 degrees. So now I have the 140, which was here, from right there to there before I drew the bisector. That was 100, well, angle B, 150 degrees. So now 150 minus the 90 gives me 70 degrees. Or excuse me, 140, 150 gives me 60 degrees. Excuse me. So it's 60 degrees. If I do the same thing here, I had all of angle C was 140. But this is 90 degrees. So the 140 minus 90 is going to give me 50 degrees. So I have the similar situation, trying to find the sum of all the angles in the triangle are 180. So 180 minus 60 gives me 120. 120 minus 50 gives me 70. So that's three ways to solve using the rules that we went through just a few nights ago. Okay? Why are we doing this? Together we're trying to build a better tomorrow through math. So keep studying, learn the rules of geometry, and we'll be back next time with more studies. Have a good day. Thank you.